Hi, my name is Jeff Morgan, and for one final video on this issue of suicide and divorce. The Texas Family Law Foundation, that great organization that protects families in Texas, that sounds like they're such a wonderful organization, the organization whose attorneys profit off of the destruction of families, the organization that defends your right to divorce your spouse for any reason or for no reason at all, because we as a Texas Family Law Foundation, we make a lot of money that way. So of course we're going to defend your right to destroy your family and to destroy your children's future. And by the way, by God, we'll be in there and you'll destroy your ex-spouse too. Even though he or she may have not done nothing to deserve it, we will be there to fight for you, the Texas Family Law Foundation. And somehow they have this air as if they are the experts on family and marriage and divorce. They are attorneys. They are attorneys, and they make money off of lawsuits. And they make money off of things that happen post-lawsuit. Divorce is a lawsuit, and this is where the attorneys rub their hands because they know they're going to make a lot of money. In fact, in the first session with you, they want to know about your financial situation so they know how much money really they can make off of you. They say, well, we're just going to make sure that everything's done evenly. In the back of their mind, they're thinking, well, you know, if we have this much money here, so much goes to me, and then we'll divvy up the rest among you, and hopefully we'll get you fighting about the rest of it, because even if it's a little bit unfair, if we can keep you fighting about it, we make more money, until at the end, maybe we drain all of your accounts. That's the Texas Family Law Foundation. Now let's talk about a psychologist. A psychologist has a different point of view, somebody who actually works in the field of counseling. This lady here, her name is Karen Smith, and she recommends this. And of course, the Texas Family Law Foundation opposed this sort of thing. This is just nonsense. We can't stop. We can't have legislation like this. But this psychologist says this: thinking about divorce or suicide, stop it for 6 months. When we are considering giving up on our relationship or on life itself, our thoughts become narrow to whether or not we are going to give up and how we would leave if we decided we are done. From thoughts in divorce about how we could afford moving out, what furniture we might take, how we would tell the kids, or in a suicide, how we might kill ourselves, how people will respond, and if we should leave notes, we become completely consumed within a very narrow range of thought. And what this lady is saying is, take the time, these 6 months. Well, actually in Texas, it's only 60 days. In fact, we had a bill last year that we were going to try to extend the waiting period, the cooling off period, so they call it, for divorce from 60 days to 6 months. The interesting thing about this bill, it was House Bill 65, sponsored by Matthew Krause. When it went to committee, it passed unanimously out of committee 7-0. And the committee was comprised of both Republicans and Democrats. Every single Democrat, every single Republican voted to put this bill out of committee and to have a vote on the floor. This bill, by the way, was not just a single person bill. It had 22 co-authors. 22 co-authors. A bill with 22 co-authors saying, let's extend the waiting period in divorce from 60 days to 6 months, give people time to emotionally settle with the idea, to possibly reconcile the family unit, to help keep it intact. There was one testimony that was given against the bill, and this person who gave it is the person whom I affectionately call Charla the Antichrist Bradshaw. Charla Bradshaw, representing the Texas Family Law Foundation, she got up there and she opposed the bill. She did such a horrible job, and I will post her testimony later. She did such a horrible job. In my opinion, she embarrassed herself. In my opinion, she embarrassed the people on the committee, some of whom had been former members of the Texas Family Law Foundation, or had strong connections there, that I believe that they had her kind of like, Charlotte, could you just please shut up? Because she did such a horrible job. Again, this is my opinion. I'll post that later. But we have 4 Republicans, 3 Democrats unanimously saying this is a good bill. We have 22 co-authors of the bill, and one person from the Texas Family Law Foundation, perhaps she saw her money flying away. We need to have conflict. If we can't have conflict, we can't make money. We can't exploit you financially. So, discount Charlotte the Antichrist Bradshaw's testimony, and let's see what Karen Smith says. Karen Smith says, we're thinking about this too narrowly. What don't we think about? We don't think about how we can improve our situation. Can we improve our situation? And she says, when we become consumed questioning if we should leave, and if so, we start thinking about ways that we might fix the situation with our partner or improve our relationship. Again, the Texas Family Law Foundation does not want to see that happen. If you fix your relationship and improve your relationship with your spouse, damn it, they don't make any money. And we want to have some money coming in. We've got our kids to put through college. And you're the source of our revenue. We're not for this. As Charlotte the Antichrist Bradshaw might testify. We stop thinking about what we might do to improve our situation. We stop focusing on the specifics of what is making us unhappy and dissatisfied and what we might do to address the situation. We stop using our creative energy to explore options for how to make radical changes in our relationship or life. And if you contact the Texas Family Law Foundation, they will give you solutions not to explore creative energy, but destructive energy, because they profit off of creating conflict and chaos and destroying your family. There are times in life, Karen continues, that are dark and conflictual, where our attachments to the people around us and sometimes our very life are frayed. While we might naturally question our attachment, when our psychic energy becomes consumed with the question of leaving or staying, none of that creative energy is available for facing the issues in our life and relationship. As a psychotherapist, not as an attorney who is making money off of the destruction of families, as a psychotherapist, I frequently meet with individuals who are suicidal and individuals and couple contemplating separation. It is reasonable, but if they are coming for therapy, there is definitely a part of them that is open to a different solution. The Texas Family Law Foundation has one solution. We're for your right to divorce. What we're looking for is other solutions, not the destruction of the family, as is often advocated by the Texas Family Law Foundation attorneys, but the reconciliation and the healing and the restoration of the family. Karen continues, I ask suicidal clients, and it's interesting how she puts suicidal clients and clients contemplating divorce in the same train of thought. I ask suicidal clients or clients considering separation to agree to a 6-month period where they do not allow themselves to think about leaving. In Texas, we have a law that says once you file for the divorce, you can get it in 60 days. A psychotherapist is saying, I ask them to give a 6-month period to think this over. In Texas, this does not have to work this way because one client or one person, for any reason or for no reason, files for divorce and says, damn it, I want that divorce, and I'm going to start using the 60-day window to club you over the head. I want out because I've met somebody or whatever reason, or maybe no reason. Reasons such as, I am a female who now wants to become a lesbian, or I am a male who now wants to become a homosexual, and therefore I have the right to divorce, and you get stuck with the bill, and by the way, because we were married, I get 50% of everything, and I'm going to try for the children as well, and also collect child support from you. This happens in Texas. The psychotherapist says, I ask that every time they start to think about leaving, they shift their thoughts to how they can craft a better life and relationship. I invite them to use all their creative, amped up psychic energy and put it to the task of looking at ways to address things in their relationship and life that are resulting in their frustration and unhappiness. And by the way, sometimes this energy should be focused upon yourself. My spouse does this, my spouse does that. Well, maybe you need to look at yourself in the mirror. What do I do that causes my spouse to respond like this? Is it really such a big deal, what I'm responding to? My spouse turns the garbage can the wrong way. My spouse does not put down the toilet lid. And I'm so upset about that. Makes our marriage insupportable. Really? Get real. She continues, I similarly make a 6-month commitment. I commit as a psychotherapist, I commit to re-explore with them in 6 months their questioning of staying or going, separating or recommitting, giving up on life or committing to life. I take their questioning seriously and promise that I will remember that they have a decision they are trying to make. I simply ask them to postpone that decision for 6 months so that we might put their thoughts to a different use. Is that unreasonable? Is that unreasonable? It is not unreasonable. She's trying to restore a relationship to keep people from making a decision that can be permanently harmful, either by the end of their life or permanently harmful to them, their spouse, their children, their friends, their family. She's saying, give it 6 months. In Texas, many times attorneys use that 60-day windows to fire things off because they make more money by creating conflict. That is the reality that you face, especially, and that is the interest that the Texas Family Law Foundation and spokeswoman Charla the Antichrist Bradshaw was trying to defend in her testimony in March of 2017. With so much at risk at hand of divorce, of death, all of the regular excuses we use that prevent us from taking real action to change our situations become absurd. What she's saying is a lot of these reasons are just absurd. Reasons people that want to commit suicide are absurd. Reasons people want to get divorced are absurd. But the state of Texas says, we're behind you 100%. Because if you, for any reason or for no reason whatsoever, want to file for divorce, you can get it and we'll stand behind you. And by the way, that person that you want divorce from will always take the side against him. That person loses 100% of the time. State of Texas. That's the way that our laws are. That's the way the Texas Family Code is written. And we must worship the Texas Family Code, no matter how unjust that law or that statute is. When we don't want to have a hard conversation with our partner because, quote, it could devastate them, we have to set that next to the possibility of divorce, which will certainly devastate them more. If we are suicidal in part because there is something we are hiding about ourselves, like our sexual orientation or an unplanned pregnancy or addiction or dating someone we fear will alienate our family, when the other option is our own death, it might feel more reasonable to let the secret out, even if it means living without certain unaccepting others. No matter how radical the change one would need to make, it likely pales in comparison to separation or suicide. This is a person that does not have the destruction of the family as her number one goal, her number one financial means of success. And she says, no matter how radical the change one would need to make, it likely pales in comparison to separation, i.e. divorce or suicide. Texas Family Law Foundation and their attorneys, the Texas Family Law attorneys, we want that divorce. We want to see conflict. That's how we make our money. We don't make any money if you settle things. And I know of people who've told me specifically that the attorneys use that fear tactic with them to enable, to incite a person to continue on with divorce when reconciliation was a perfectly viable option. Karen continues, I am not trying to make light of the agony of questioning the sustainability of your partnership and certainly not of contemplating suicide. I'm trying to highlight a function of the mind, which is to galvanize thought in the direction you point it toward. Make sure you have given your mind a chance to help you creatively, robustly, without distraction of defeatism. Neither divorce nor suicide is the easy way out. Whoa. The Texas Family Law Foundation says this is your constitutional right. Divorce is your constitutional right. Neither divorce. And by the way, it's not a constitutional right, but they like to say that in order to make you feel good about yourselves. Neither divorce nor suicide is an easy way out, but we must have done the hard work of disciplining our mind to help us think of every vehicle, every effort, every courageous act to save what is precious. Marriage is precious. In some instances, divorce may be the only option, But in far too many instances, divorce is a cop-out. It is a cop-out. It is the easy way out. It is the irresponsible way out. It is a way out that is unjust against your spouse, unjust against your children, unjust against your family and friends, unjust against society, because society often bears the cost of this. Would to God that we had a system that perhaps had psychotherapists like Miss Smith. Instead, we have divorce attorneys. Divorce attorneys thrive on conflict, thrive on destruction. That's how they make their money, off of destroying your family, your children's lives, your life, your spouse's life. To extend the waiting period in Texas from 60 days to at least 6 months is a very reasonable accommodation that should be implemented immediately. And again, last session, it had full support from the 7-member committee of 3 Democrats, 4 Republicans. It had 22 co-authors. There was one person who testified in opposition to this bill, Charla the Antichrist Bradshaw, whom I believe was representing the Texas Family Law Foundation. Thank you.